Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for clicking on this Rank the Movies video. I am Martin Prevost. I've come to the moment I've regretted since I decided to do this, but I decided to do it for you, my viewers, however many of you this video hits, so like the three of you who are going to click on this video for some reason. I'm going to talk about a movie I repressed. I repressed this movie for over a decade. Well, maybe less than that, because I got some stories to go with this movie. This is a movie I saw in theaters more times, almost equal to some of the movies I really like and how many times I've seen them in theaters. I saw it, I owned more copies of this movie than any other movie ever, and it is possibly, truly, my least favorite movie. Not because it's that bad, but because of the exposure I had to it, and that is See Spot Run. This is a movie everyone's forgotten about. If you're sitting there at home going, I remember that movie, you're weird. It's not saying that, people who are mine, or you've been traumatized by this movie like I was. You see, back in 2001, I was an 8th grader. It was almost the end of the school year. We were about to be going to the summer, and then we were going to be freshmen. Woot! Freshmen! But before we ended our time in middle school, they decided we're going to take the entire 8th grade class to see a movie. And we got to vote on what movie that was PG-13 or less we went to go see. And what won? You might ask. Well, I'm telling this story, so you damn well know it's See Spot Run. See Spot Run won. So that was like a Wednesday. That weekend, I was hanging out with one of my cousins, and we were told, oh, we're going to go see a movie. Yay! But we had to take his stepsister and one of her friends with us. And they're both like 4 or 5 years younger than us. So we can't go see Hannibal, because we wanted to go see Hannibal. That wouldn't have been any better, but we wanted to go see Hannibal. So we ended up seeing Spot Run again. Because I think my cousin, who was the same age as me and in the same grade, I think he missed that field trip, so he hadn't actually seen it. But I had. The following weekend, my dad tells me I have to take my stepsister to the movies, and he's going too. And she wants to see Spot Run. Now, I'm 13, I think, at this point. What the hell can I say? I'm a 13-year-old. I'm a 13-year-old who has split weekends with his parents, and therefore is supposed to be spending this time with his father because he only gets to do it every other weekend. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to say, no, Dad, I'm not going to go see this fucking movie a third time? No, you smile, and you say yes, and you watch the stupid movie a third time. God, so I've seen this movie 3 times in theaters in basically a week, which I can honestly tell you there's no other movie. There's no other movie I've seen that many times that close together. Now, there are other movies I have gone to the theaters to see 3 times or 4 times, but those are movies I really, really, really liked and are generally in the top 10 movies of all time. Well, this is definitely in the top 10 least favorite movies of all time. Again, not because it's a bad movie. We'll get into the movie in a second. Now, as I got older, I never had to see this movie again. I never saw this movie again. Except my brother decided to tell one of his internet friends about me having to see this movie 3 times and how much I really hate this movie and curse every time I saw a copy of it. So he decides to buy every VHS copy of See Spot Run he can find on the internet and mail them to me. That's right. I had tapes upon tapes upon tapes upon tapes of See Spot Run. See Spot Run. See Spot Run there. See Spot Run over there. Here's a stack of See Spot Run. Wanted in a clamshell? Wanted in a regular case? I had both! So I owned about 30 copies of the movie See Spot Run. So yes, I've now seen this movie 3 times in theaters and owned 30 copies of this movie. Yeah. So, now we actually get to get into the movie itself. This is like the lowest form of PG comedy. I can't imagine this thing is higher. They have PG, crude humor, language, and comic violence. Comic violence. It's violence, but you're gonna laugh. Why is that a thing? Why is there a degree of violence that we call comic? Why? Like if I'm stabbing someone, but it's in a funny manner, will that movie get comic violence? Like seriously, Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger doesn't get comic violence. He just gets violence. I guess because nobody dies or there's no blood, it's comic violence. It's okay. It's happy violence. It doesn't show blood, even though a guy gets both of his balls ripped off through two parts of this movie. Yeah, that's right. Paul Sorvino is in this, who is a great actor. He's an amazing actor. He had no right to be in this movie. Michael Clarke Duncan is in it, also had no right to be in this movie. Leslie Bibb plays the love interest. David Arquette plays our main character. Anthony Anderson plays his pointless best friend who's there only so David Arquette has someone to talk to, because if he wasn't there, David Arquette would just be talking to himself. And finally, we have Angus T. Jones, the kid from 2.5 Men. So the son from 2.5 Men plays the little kid in this movie. So it's really is a recognizable cast. And there's one other, because there's a pair of hitmen, and I know one of them from a couple of movies, including Analyze This and Analyze That. He might actually also be in one of the Godfather movies. It wouldn't surprise me, though the IMDb did not tell me that the Godfather reference was a he reference because he was in it. So I could be wrong on that one. So anyways, Paul Sorvino plays a mob boss who is shipping drugs. And his greatest enemy is Agent 11, which is a dog. The dog sniffs out some drugs, Sorvino flees, and Agent 11 attacks him by biting off one of his testicles. This is a kid's film. That's a great way to start. Drugs and testicle biting. A+. Sir Paul Sorvino's character is not... I'm not going to use any characters' names because I don't remember any of them, and I just literally finished watching this movie. That's how much I don't want to remember anything about this movie. I don't remember their names. Also, I'm not sure how many times they said their names. It might have been so few that I just don't remember any of them. Anyways, Paul Sorvino is not arrested, even though they found drugs in his shipping container, and even though he ran from the scene of an FBI bust and was attacked by an FBI dog. None of this lands him in jail. He just is at the hospital, and the doctor makes a joke that they had to stick a ball bearing in his crotch to make it look natural, because now he's missing a ball. And then if it happened to the other side, he was going to clink when he walks. Like, you know, clink, 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 which is clearly foreshadowing what's going to happen at the end of this movie, because why else would you make that joke unless you're going to pay off on it? Which isn't funny, because now you're telegraphing it, so it's fuck off. So we then, Paul Sorvino then decides to hire a pair of bumbling hitmen to kill the dog. Not the FBI agent who trained the dog, but the dog itself. He puts a contract out on a dog. I'm still getting my head wrapped around it, and I just watched this movie. There's a contract to kill the dog. Yep, I'm letting that sink in for a second. So the hitmen try to kill the dog and fail, so they decide the dog needs to go into witness protection, because... Again, the person who's sending the dog into witness protection is actually on the payroll of the evil Paul Sorvino, but doesn't actually just kill the dog. Just doesn't kill the dog for him. Ends up switching the tags and sending the dog to a different location, and then calls the goons to tell which van the dog is in. Which makes no sense, because there's no reason to switch the tags. She just could have said the dog is in this van, and they would have went after that van and that dog. If the dog is dead, who cares? Like, when the FBI finds out the dog is dead. They're going to find out when they investigate the dog being dead from the switching of the tags, and they're just going to know it's that dog is the dead dog when they don't investigate. But it's to help the plot of this movie. this pointless moment that is completely unnecessary and is just there to help the plot of this movie. So, now let's move over to the other side of this coin, which is David Arquette. David Arquette is a mailman who hates dogs because we need to work to the lowest common denominator, and therefore that is people who know that mailmen hate dogs. His entire introduction is just showing that he hates dogs. He doesn't like dogs, he's a mailman, and he has to deal with dogs and being a mailman, and he doesn't like dogs. We get it, you don't like dogs, we see where this is going. If we didn't watch the trailer, if we never saw a commercial for this movie, which I saw a lot of because I watched Monday Night Raw when I was a kid, and this commercial was on like every third commercial break for like 2 months of Monday Night Raw. So I saw it a lot. It was the same one over and over again. I hate this movie. Anyways, he hates dogs. And he's a mailman, and he hates dogs. And his best friend, Anthony Anderson, plays a trick on him by sticking a stuffed dog into a mailbox. David Arquette then takes that stuffed dog to the woman he's interested in his house, which is Leslie Bibb, and she's got a little kid. Even though we never find out, like, why? Like, I get it's a kids movie, but it's never stated if, like, the guy left her when she got pregnant, if he died. Like, there's no statement here as to why she has a kid. Just that she has a kid. That's all you need to know. She's a single mom. She's just a single mom who is being courted by a cop, which is, oddly enough, I'm watching the TV show Eureka right now, and the cop who is courting her actually plays one of the cops on that show, so it just seemed weird, because he looks like almost identical to, outside of the color of the uniform, he looks almost identical to how he dresses in Eureka. So that threw me for a second. Anyways, she's dating a cop, but the mailman, David Arquette, shows up and gives the stuffed dog to her boy because he really wants a dog, but his mom won't give him a dog. Leslie Bibb is going out on a business trip overnight and is waiting for the babysitter. Unfortunately, the babysitter hasn't shown up yet. They keep calling, saying they'll be there in 10 minutes. So David Arquette goes, you know what, I can watch the kid for 10 minutes, which is a fine thing to do, especially if you're interested in the woman. You know, well, I'll watch the kid for 10 minutes, whatever. You know, it's 10 minutes. Nothing can go wrong, except you know that this is how this movie has to work, that something has to go wrong. So Leslie Bibb leaves to go on her work trip, and you find out the babysitter has food poisoning, and therefore David Arquette is now the permanent babysitter for the night. Which it'll turn into a lot more nights, because they haven't even crossed paths with this damn dog yet. So he watches the kid for the first night, and gives him sugar, and he gets super hyper, because the mom has laminated charts that says he shouldn't get sugar, and BS, he has to take him on his mail route the next day because it's the summer and the kid doesn't have school. And the hitmen are going to kill the driver of the dog's van and then kill the dog because, you know, why kill a human when we're trying, you know, if we're just going to kill a dog, we have to kill a human as well. The dog escapes and finds its way into the mail van, and then the kid is asking David Arquette, because he's still got the stuffed dog with him, what the dog's name is, and he's like, it's Spot, but it's a pit bull. It's a brown pit bull. The pit bull has no spots on it. Oh, it's Spot. The dog's name is Spot. And then then the kid verifies, well, is it my dog? And he's like, of course it's your dog, because all he can see is the stuffed dog. He doesn't realize there's a real dog. And so the kid gets all pouty when David Arquette realizes there's a real dog, because the kid can't have a real dog. But the kid is all pouty and bitchy, so David Arquette relents and they take the dog home. And the dog's an FBI agent, so it won't play. Actually, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. But the FBI agent dog won't play. So they try teaching it to play. So David Arquette removes its collar, which has a shock device on it, because that was part of its training, is that it wears a shock collar for quick correction. And he wears it to teach the dog how to play. And then he goes to remove it, but he tries to remove it with a screwdriver, because I guess the the locking mechanism on the dog collar is stuck, but they decided to go straight from him acting like a dog to him grabbing a screwdriver without the requisite 5 seconds of him saying that he can't get the thing off. Yeah, that requisite 5 seconds to understand why he is going for a screwdriver right away isn't there. But apparently he screws with the screwdriver and the remote control of the TV works to shock David Arquette, and he gets shocked. And it's hilarity! It's not hilarity. After David Arquette gets shocked, the mom eventually calls somewhere in here, I think after they find the dog, to tell him that there's a huge snowstorm, and all the flights are canceled, and all the roads are closed, and he's gonna have to watch the kid. Even longer. Or he decides to watch the kid. Like, she wants to send the kid to somebody else, and he's like, nah, gee, I got this, because they kind of present him at the beginning of this movie like he's one of those white guys that wants to, like, be hip. They kind of present him as that, and then they just stop giving a fuck after, like, 2 scenes. So, he now has the kid, and he's got the dog, and they go on some more wacky adventures as the hitmen try to find the dog, and eventually they track the dog to a pet store because they're there to get the dog some treats because it finally learned how to fetch. And the shenanigans ensue set to the Hamster Dance, which is a song I have not heard or thought of since probably 2001. But yeah, shenanigans happen with the Hamster Dance. And then the FBI finally, they go to tell the cops that they're hitmen after the dog, and they laugh it off, and the FBI show up, and they're like, oh, that's our dog. Where is it? Because that was an actual, he's telling the truth. Hitmen are trying to kill this dog. And they go and they get the dog, and then the dog escapes, and then the hitmen try to get the dog by getting the kid and the guy, and David Arquette, but they don't have the dog. And then Paul Sorvino shows back up and gets his other ball bit off. And the dog decides he wants to have a real life with family instead of going to be in the FBI, because that's not a family, that's a job, man. And Leslie Bibb finally fucking shows up to take care of her kid after riding in the back with the stupidest fucking dialogue ever, as she is picked up by a circus, I think, or it's just a zebra transport. I actually know what this is, but you can't sit in the vehicle, and like most times when a character can't sit in the front in a movie, they explain it. They give you dialogue. They tell you that they can't because it's full of people, or they're not allowed, just have to ride back. No, they just shove her in back. They shove her in back with a zebra that then farts on her match, because fart jokes are funny. And then they're like, oh, we're going straight through to Seattle. So I'm assuming that she lives in Seattle. I don't know where she went for this business meeting, where there was such a big snowstorm it grounded everything and stopped all traffic. When it's the summer, son of a bitch! Son of a bitch, that just dawned on me. She says it's a snowstorm, and the kid says it's the summer. What the fuck? What the fuck, movie? You can't even get what season you want this thing to take place in correct. Dear God. Dear God, it just landed. It just landed right this second that the mom says she snowed in, and which is why she can't take a flight to get back home, but the kid says it's summer, so he doesn't have school. So either the mom is in fucking Alaska, which actually a character does go to Alaska in this movie and is able to fly in and out real quick, so she in Alaska, because Alaska ain't snowbound. And that's even when she's traveling. Like, there's a scene the next day where she's on just a bus that's ran off the road that she was on, and it's bright and sunny, and it doesn't look like this must have been a fucking real secluded freak snowstorm in the middle of summer, or at the beginning, during summer break. Maybe she went overseas. Maybe she went overseas to another country that has winter. I'm not sure what country that is, because I feel like most countries have summer like a normal. Even Alaska It has a greenish summer depending on where you are. So I don't know. I don't know. Either she lied and she wasn't snowed in and just had a booty call or some shit. Probably not, because she did have to take a bus. She just didn't take a different plane. Or the kid's lying, because he's definitely not having summer break if it's fucking snowing somewhere. Anyways, they say they're going straight on to Seattle, and she can. So maybe she lives in Seattle, or they're going to Seattle, and she lives in California or some other place in Washington. I'm not 100% sure, but she hitches a ride with a biker, and she gets there right after Paul Sorvino's ball gets bitten off. And then, of course, she blames David Arquette for everything, even though the fucking dog did it all. Like her kid's whiny ass, I want a dog! Spot needs to stay with us! Because Angus T. Young might have became a little more bearable by the time 2.5 Men came along, but he is not in this movie. He's horrid. It's hard to watch him. Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. And we need to keep Spot. Spot's our dog. They can't fuck you. They can't have Spot. He's our dog. Eventually, Leslie Bibb and David Arquette reconcile, and they're gonna start dating and have a family with David Arquette, Leslie Bibb, Angus T. Young, and the dog. And they didn't make a sequel, which is good, because I think there would have been another kid. This movie's bad. I'm glad people forgot about this movie. I'm glad this isn't like a cult favorite. Like, this is just one of those movies nobody cares about. Like, I only remember it because I had to see it 3 times. I think most people don't even remember this movie ever existed, let alone have any negative feelings towards it. Don't watch it. Not that I think anyone would. Maybe you're scrolling through HBO Max and it's there. I'm not 100% sure if this is on HBO Max. I think HBO might be smart enough to know this is not a Warner Brothers film they want to put on their streaming service because it's dog shit. Oh, and there is a scene about dog shit, by the way. I totally skipped over the dog shit scene, where David Arquette gets locked out of his building and slips on dog shit 3 times that basically smears his entire back, gets on other articles of his clothing. This dog did not take like a monster dump. It took a normal dump. But the amount of dog shit that David Arquette gets on him, it's not like he's covered in it, but it is way more dog shit than that dog shat. So, yeah. Yeah. This movie is bad. It made me think that maybe I have to film me watching this movie, do a commentary track where every time I don't react accordingly, like there's a joke and I don't laugh at it, or there's a sad moment and I don't have any reaction to it, I need to take a shot. I'd probably get real drunk. This is only an hour and a half movie. I'd probably get real drunk. Because I had no reaction watching this movie except twice. I don't remember the first time that I thought something was actually clever and or funny. I don't remember it. The second time I remember, because I was actually thinking the same thing, and then it was actually dialogue, which I thought was funny. As they're running away from the 2 bumbling hitmen, they're in David Arquette's mail truck, because for the long portion of this movie, we kind of just forget he's a mailman, because we've established mailmen don't like dogs. So that's not important until the end. And he has the kid throwing boxes of mail, like the clear, the whitish clear tubs of mail you find in places with the open top, throwing those out of the back of the thing. And I'm like, well, that's probably a federal crime. That's probably a federal crime. And you hear the dude who I recognize from Analyze This actually say in an offbeat line that mailman's probably going to lose his job. I'm like, that was actually a pretty decent line. I giggled at that one. I gave an actual reaction to that moment because I thought it was they did make the joke, and it was an obvious joke, but sometimes, not you can make the obvious joke and still make it funny, and I think at that moment they did it, and they did it correctly. I kind of wish they did it for the rest of this movie. It would have made watching it the 4 times I've seen it in my life, in my 35 years of existence, bearable. Might have made it more bearable. I might not hate it as much. I don't know. I think I'm just bitter towards it. I think I'm just bitter towards it because it's not a good movie, and I had to see it a lot in theaters. And theaters are supposed to be a special time. And yeah, sometimes you watch a bad movie when you go to the theater, but sometimes you watch, you know, if you watch a bad movie, that's it, you've watched it. That's fine. The next time you go, you might not watch a bad movie. You'll roll the dice again. But I went and saw this movie, and it was a bad movie. And then the next time I went to the theaters, I saw this movie again. And then I went a 3rd time. The next time I went, I saw this movie again. So there was no rolling of the dice. There was no chance for it to not be a horrible movie. It was a horrible movie the 2nd and the 3rd time. So yeah, I hate this movie. I'm not as ranty and pissed off as I am like when I watched All About Eve, or Chronicle, really. But it's up there. It's up there just because of the memories. And I wanted to share. I wanted to share this with my YouTube viewers, whoever you are, that I hate. That I really, really hate See Spot Run. And now you know why. Now, you can leave a comment if you hate this movie too. If there's a movie you saw way too many times in theaters that was bad, but for some reason you had to keep seeing it, let me know. I would love to hear those stories. I would love to know that I'm not the only one that has ever happened to. Don't forget to like this video if you liked what I said. You know what? Or don't. I don't like videos on YouTube. I don't know why I keep telling you people to do it. Like, I never hit the like button. I really don't. I watch the videos. I enjoy the videos. I don't really hit the like button. So I'm not going to tell... Don't hit the like button. Don't. It's unnecessary. Subscribe if you want to see what else I'm going to talk about. If I do shoot a video of me doing shots to this movie, it'll probably come up tomorrow. The day after this video releases, so I'll probably post it then. If I can, because I'll need somebody to be the judge to tell me that I needed to react properly. But if I get someone, that video will be up tomorrow. If not, tune in next week where I'm going to start something fun, something new, something fun. I'm going to, over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to look at the first 5 video game movies ever released in reverse order. So that means I'm starting with Wing Commander, and I'm going to end at Super Mario Brothers. So join me for that. We're going to talk video game movies, the original video game movies, the first ones ever made. That should be fun. So again, don't forget, comment if you got something to say. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any content that I might be posting, whether it's additional videos or next week's videos about video games. I am Martin Prevost. This is Rank the Movies. It's been great talking to you about this piece of shit. It's been great getting it off my chest. I hope you have a great week. I hope everything's going well for you. I know we're a couple of months in to this new year, and I just hope everything's going great and everything's going wonderful. And hopefully the world is a less shitty place than it once was. Alright, have a great one. See you later.